Hello and welcome to our webinar, Think Big, Strategies to Scale Smarter and Expand Faster. We'll be featuring today insights from BigCommerce and 3 retailers that have really got it right when it comes to scaling smarter and continuing to expand and navigate changing times. We also will provide access to an ebook. We all know what to do with that QR code on the screen. This ebook is diving into the topic of e-commerce personalization, strategies to engage and convert more shoppers. So let's jump into today. Firstly, I would like to kick off by welcoming our panel along. I am Kate Massey, the General Manager for APAC for Athos Commerce. Joining me today, we have Shannon, who is a great partner of ours at BigCommerce, VP and General Manager. Shannon, give us an intro.
Hey guys, Shannon Ingray, as Kate said, General Manager of BigCommerce in APAC. Been with the business for about 6 years and had the pleasure of working with our great panelists here today as well for quite a while. So really excited to get into this one.
Love that. Also joining us is Abel Cura. Abel. What is great about Abel is he always seems so relaxed despite growing one of New Zealand's largest sustainable health and beauty companies in HealthPost, and has also navigated 2 acquisitions into the mix. Tell us about the HealthPost group, Abel.
Thanks very much, Kate. Glad I come across as relaxed. It sounds like I probably missed my calling as an actor. But yeah, I'm long-standing CE of our family e-commerce group and natural wellness companies. So HealthPost is New Zealand's largest pure play online retailer of primarily natural health and beauty and personal care products. And we also own and operate Flora and Fauna and Nourish Life brands within Australia, both also e-commerce pure plays. Great to be on the panel. Cheers.
Great to have you. And then we have Joe. I am repping my AS Colour, which I live in. This is a business that the scale never continues to surprise me. Joe, give us an update for head of e-commerce for AS Colour.
Thanks, Kate. Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm Joe, head of e-com for AS Colour. We are a premium blank apparel brand down here in NZ. We've been around for about 20 years, started in New Zealand, and now we're in 5 different countries throughout the world with 6 DCs globally. So I've been with the company for about 4 years and 2 of those in the e-com space and loving it. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, great to have you and look forward to hearing about that expansion and growth, especially going into those new territories as well. And then we have Mr. Retail himself that lives and breathes retail. Phil, give us an update for MedCart.
Thanks, Kate. Yeah, my name's Phil Lay. I'm the founder and CEO of MedCart Marketplace. We host 100 wholesale and retail partners with over 65,000 products across 1,300 categories. Mainly in the medical, dental, pet care, pharmacy, and beauty supplies. We service both B2B and B2C, and we're a business basically born during the COVID period.
Love that. So COVID has given you a lot of resilience to navigate these next changing times. Now, many of you will start to be introduced to our new brand, Athos Commerce. So Athos Commerce is a brand new company. It's really the evolution of 3 powerhouse technology companies coming together under one roof, being SearchSpring, Clearview, and Intelligent Reach. And that's really about putting product discovery and e-commerce optimization at the heart of everything we do. What I like about the meaning behind the name is symbolizing strength and resilience. We know that times in retail continue to evolve, continue to change, continue to move at a really fast pace, and that strength and resilience is something that we really see these retailers that are on the call today really start to stand that test of time. And where we're really moving towards is redefining how businesses continue to scale, connect, and succeed. So let's jump into the first topic, laying the foundations for healthy e-commerce growth. So gone are the times where we are just going to go after growth at any cost, right? I think the key word there is that healthy e-commerce growth. How do we really look at sustainability? There's a lot of noise out there in the world at the moment. There's a lot of doom and gloom messaging. We know we've been challenged from interest rates to consumer spending to rising cost of living to, dare I say it, tariffs. But with rapid change, one thing that I really always get so energized when talking to Phil about is the mindset and the approach to dealing with that change. So Phil, take it away.
So yeah, it is a wonderful time of change, probably the greatest change in our lifetime. I mean, you even consider the last week. Change is always scary, but for entrepreneurs, for businesses, especially small to medium enterprises who can pivot, there is opportunity, incredible opportunity. I mean, take the last week. You've had catch of the day close.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, there's $500 million on the table, which is, you might see 100 million of that go to Wesfarmers where they get to keep that, but there'll be chunks going to Kogan and eBay and Amazon and then to the rest of the community. This Wesfarmers basically burnt down a shopping centre. They've kicked all the merchants out of there and they've burnt the shopping centre down. So that is an opportunity which has happened in the last week. In the last 2 days in America, Trump has slammed a tax on Temu and Shen, basically 120% duty or a straight $100 fee per package, which is going to jump up to $200 after June 1. Now, that's basically 1.3 billion packages that were undercutting business last year in the US alone. Now, the Trump tariff effects is going to be felt across the world, and we'll have to adjust to that. But you might think that Albanese, our Prime Minister, who's just come back into power, will be looking at deals with Trump, and quite possibly you might see the same sort of tax, if you like, on Temu and Shen. For example, Albo yesterday mentioned possible changes to luxury car tax in Australia. This can be seen as a lowering of our tariffs to appease the US. So there's going to be opportunity with export and opportunity with import. We just have to not get scared, but have a look, because it's going to be a wild time up there with COVID, I think.
Yeah, so you started MedCart from the ground up, right? What were some of the things in getting those foundations right for growth from those early days?
Well, we were just reacting when we did MedCart during COVID because there was no B2B or B2C marketplace for medical that connected vital medical suppliers during that time. So it's just driven by the need at that time. And then, of course, it's evolved. It had to evolve because, we had some incredible months where we sold, we had 1 month of $8 million worth of sales of COVID tests, or 38,000 orders in a month. Now, that sort of stuff doesn't last. So we had to work out who we were post-COVID. At that time, we had 1,200 SKUs and 20 sellers. So it's been learning and then adapting to what the new market is. And it's not easy, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go next then to Abel, in terms of when we're talking about the foundations for e-commerce growth, how important is it getting that tech stack selection right? What's that process that you need to go through to evaluate what do you need today when starting off and growing into kind of taking on new acquisitions?
Yeah, thanks, Kate. It's critically important. I would actually argue that it's potentially more important than it ever has been. There is a lot of systems choice, and there's a lot of really great systems for all of the core components of a modern e-commerce business. And there are some things which remain true, which have been true for a long time, in terms of there are some core non-negotiables in technology selection, in terms of, obviously, speed is really important, stability, uptime needs to be really good, scalability needs to be really important in a growth business. And then increasingly, I think also interoperability is absolutely key. So you need to not look obviously at any one system in isolation, but you obviously need to consider the component parts, because and the typical, obviously the more typical contemporary e-commerce tech stack has a core system and then satellite systems for specific capabilities around it. Increasingly and critically, the roadmap is really, really important for the vendor. So I think we would not be jumping on board with any significant tech decision without a good process of discovery around what their forward looks like in terms of roadmap partnerships. For example, it's really exciting to see, SearchSpring's recent acquisitions, as you touched on, Kate, and the increasing capability that delivers. Something like that really, validates that you're the forward-looking vendor who's, making moves to increase their capability. And yeah, critical to that roadmap, obviously, at this stage is AI as well, and AI enablement. So again, I wouldn't be choosing a key technology vendor at this point in time without a good understanding of how they're using AI within their system and how you can use that across your wider stack in turn.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when it comes to AI, it's really around what can we do to automate and scale, right? It's not taking away those people controls, but it's how do we do more, right? And how do we really get smart around what we're serving up to shoppers when you do have different audiences and segments of shoppers as well. Leads really nicely then into Joe talking about like how important it is to rely on the right data and analytics, and how you use that to kind of fuel your on-site shopping experience. Obviously, your metrics are really strong.
Yeah, thanks, Kate. Historically, I think AS Color was very kind of, I guess, customer-led in the sense that we, for years, we didn't actually have a lot of data we could rely on outside of just conversing with our customers directly and then looking at what we're selling. But now with our tech stack, we're in a much better place to look at all this additional data that we're getting. And if I can talk about SearchSpring specifically, we heard from our customers that our search wasn't fit for purpose, so we invested in SearchSpring as a partner. And since doing that, we're getting that real data and those real insights as to how our shoppers are searching across our sites. We use these data points to inform how we merch our sites and even develop new products. For example, if we see a customer searching a lot for a product that we don't offer, we will consider putting that into our range. So we're loving all these insights that we're now seeing due to I guess investing in our tech stack a little bit more, and we're seeing some good results.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously managing several different sites as well, being able to do that at scale, and seeing between 35 to 65% of revenue coming from search, depending on which region we're actually talking about there, and 11.65 to 16.81% with search conversion, much lower without, right? And then also the impact then on AOV, and then there's smart pieces around like cross-sell, upsell, introducing new products through those recommendation carousels. How's that going for you?
Yeah, really good. And you're spot on with search. So we see our customers, they come to a site, they know exactly what they're looking for, they get there fast, and they check out. We have a big D2C customer base, but our B2B business is significant as well. So you are relying on kind of that repeat shopper conversion, I guess. But yeah, since bringing on SearchSpring, we've invested more time and resource into cross-merching and upselling across different areas of the site, which is leading our customers to get to areas of the site they historically weren't even getting to look at products that they were never seeing before. We're playing with hot versus cold month merchandising across the globe, Northern Hemisphere seasons versus Southern Hemisphere seasons. And we're seeing some really good results.
Great to hear. Phil, let's go back to you, because there's some good points in there around when you're that cash-strapped startup and you're driving and that traffic to site, how then important is it to make sure that traffic converts, and how did you kind of go on that journey in introducing brand new categories, growing the product range quite significantly?
Well, Search Spring is playing and I'll back up Joe on that, which is pretty similar answer, is helping drive those moments. You talked about the cart, customers also viewed. We're seeing, thanks to AI, and we're seeing it over month, an increase in conversions, thanks to, the smarts of that tech. We're just, I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm leaving it to the big platforms, which we, like Search Spring, like BigCommerce, like Marketplacer, to deploy these tools to help us out. Of course, we're doing it internally to help streamline process, but we're doing it also that, we've got AI to help streamline our process for customer service chat, for example. But all that's really doing is freeing them up so they can actually answer the phone faster, and that they can work on other things in the business, like SEO, for example. So we deployed last week Bella, an AI chat assistant, who's working after hours and on weekends for us, and the conversions were just out of control. 98% of people don't even know they're talking to a robot, which is fantastic. But do we want AI to separate us from our customer? No, we're pretty much old school in that way, because we do spend a lot of money, all of us, to send traffic to a website. So we've got a bit of an old school approach, if you like, to customer service. We're trying to encourage our phone to ring. We list it on everywhere on the site as much as possible.
Yeah,
Keeping
that customer front.
Building that human relationship via the phone is really big for us.
Yeah, great to hear.
I love that, Phil. And I think there's something of a paradox that you've touched on there in terms of, automation, done badly can create sort of this artificial uncanny valley effect, which is a big turnoff for most customers. But done well, as you say, it's enabling a deepening and a greater personalization of the customer relationship. So it's really not the tool, it's how you're using it, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's to help us be better at what we do, but at the end of the day, we have to think about the customer and connecting with that customer, and we love doing it on a human level as much as possible.
Good one.
Absolutely. Shannon, why don't you wrap us up? What else do we need to consider when we're talking about those foundations for healthy e-commerce growth?
Cool. Well, I'm really excited about the news.com headline with Phil quoted tomorrow saying Wes Farmers have burnt down a shopping mall. That's going to be great. But
what was that?
I said I'm looking forward to the headline tomorrow with you quoted saying Wes Farmers have burnt down a shopping mall. That's going to be unreal.
Well, that's what you said. I'm sending it to the Australian. Burnt down a shopping. They've got to solve the COVID anyway.
But no, look, wrapping up on the topic, I think, what more can I say? These guys are pros. I'll just say like a couple of points. For me, healthy growth, I'm firmly in the camp of measure everything. Like everything you're trying to do, have a goal associated with it and measure progress. Be ruthless. If it's not working out, change it, cut it, pivot. We all need to make sure that our businesses are profitable now. And one of the other things you need to make sure is that we're operating at a healthy cash flow. So, when you're thinking about your business and what you're doing, be ruthless and measure everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And really lean in and sweat those tech stack investments, making sure you are optimized at every touch point, all of the different parts of the tech stack, and leaning on the partners to be able to do that. Great. So let's then move into building and optimizing for scale, right? So how do we really get into a place when we've got those foundations right to start to look at that scale? And Phil, you touched on the AI automation. We've got our AI FAQ agent off the back of our Clearview acquisition as well. The time is moving really quickly. How do you maintain having a lean team and being able to take advantage of opportunities for automation and getting that tech stack right?
Yeah, just like I said, just getting, got a lot of data we need to sort out and process. And having the team deploying AI and that as a solution to help free us up to do the things we want to do, to expand, to look at new product ranges, to also to optimize what we've got, optimizing your headlines or your H1 tags, your listings, your photos, your everything, freeing up and using AI in that process as well.
Yeah.
It's just basically, you're not working any less hard. You're just working smarter and adapting to what's happening in the marketplace. And it's great having partners like yourself who are doing the heavy lifting for us, the business owners, and getting those agents or those agents of change in terms of this technology into the stack to make our life better, and to improve process.
Great. How many products have you got on site today?
There's 65,000 products at the moment, and we want to get to 100 by Christmas, but we've got to get the right products up. And I'm sure Abel and Joe will agree that you're just not slapping anything up. It's got to be curated. It's got to make sense for our brand.
Mm-hmm.
But we've got a great category that we could get into plenty of other products. So it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. So that product discovery piece becomes even more important when you grow the product.
Yeah. I mean, just in terms of your tool, Kate, I mean, we've got an incredible amount of people who use search on our site. I think 10% of all users use it. But we're trying to be, and it's different for every business, but we're sort of this one-stop shop, if you like. I know it's cliche, one-stop shop for medical. And the beauty for business, for example, is they want one invoice. So we might have 10 different sellers on an invoice, which is beautiful, but they will use the search to go through and get all that product together and check out that way. So having robust search is critical. And also the AI, which says customers also looked at, and you've looked at this before, all that sort of stuff. Critical stuff you used to have to manually do before, right? You don't have to do anymore.
Absolutely. And if they're looking at that, what else have other shoppers that look like them gone on to convert on as well? I think 10% may use search, but 61% of revenue is coming from that 10%, right? So those are motivated ones, and it's about growing that wallet size as well. Let's go to you next, Abel, in terms of leaning into the tech stack to really understand those deeper shopper behaviors and segments.
Thanks, Kate. Yeah, so I guess kind of going so quite big picture on this. It's, I guess, what we're seeing, we've touched on disruption, and obviously, Phil's living proof, and I love your optimism, Phil, in terms of, within disruption there is opportunity. And I see it also in terms of we're at the beginning or some way through another wave of significant disruption. Obviously there's the geopolitical tariffs, etc., but also I think not to underestimate the impact of AI, and it's turning what was kind of previously impossible to rapidly becoming possible through its powers of synthesis across large data sets and actually extracting actual insight. So what was previously impossible with human cognition, irrespective of team size and structure, is increasingly readily available. So that's the really interesting piece to me in terms of leaning into the tech stack, is starting to look at everything as a data point, and that's what we're looking really hard at, is where is all of the valuable data within our tech stack, and more broadly within all of our customer interactions, and then also even within our internal processes, because previously that would just overload you, but we're now going into an environment where we can actually apply compute to that and extract meaningful insight quite quickly. So that's what's probably really fascinating to me at the moment, and it's really important that I think you have partners who understand that, tech partners who understand that, and have open data layers and ideally APIs that can be queried, etc., so you can make the most of that opportunity as well.
Absolutely. I think key point, right? And key point we should cover on the foundations, right, is getting the data piece right, because data is at the center of everything, whether it's fueling the on-site experience, fueling decision making, and being able to adapt and change as quickly as possible. Joe, what about from your side? So how important, and obviously e-commerce is still a relatively new thing for AS Color, right? I know that when we started working together, it was like, okay, let's really double down on e-commerce for AS Color, which is now allowing you to fast track some of that expansion into those new markets. What are some of the things that you needed to kind of get right so you can optimize for that scale?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, you're right. That was probably about 2 years ago. Hey, we partnered up. And before that, we took pride in our website, obviously, and put a lot of effort into the look and feel of it. But in terms of the tech stack and the things that fit into it, we weren't really optimizing in a lot of areas. So in the last 2 years, it's been all go, sorry. And so just circling back to your question, in terms of optimizing for scale, that has really allowed us to grow globally. Like in the last couple of years, we've opened a second DC in the US, and we've opened a brand new website up in the EU with a DC up there as well. And I think you can have the right product that customers want, but if you don't have your logistics and your stock sorted, if you don't have a site that's shoppable, if you don't have a tech stack that's going to allow you to play in different regions or grow in the areas you want to grow in, then it just makes it that much harder. So we're really happy with BigCom as our partner, and all of our tech stack partners like SearchSpring, etc., that have allowed us to build a site that ultimately lets us sell our product across the world. So I'm not sure if that fully answers your question, but
it answers it great. And then Shannon can wrap it all up for us in terms of tech that's working seamlessly together. How important is that, Shannon, to get right?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously super important. I think some of the steps to get there, when you're selecting a new piece of technology, you're choosing a new partner, even hiring a new employee in your business, you really want to think about a time frame and a desired state. I would say 75% of the new potential brands that we look to bring onto our platform specifically come to us with a problem rather than a vision, and they're very kind of short-sighted in the, hey, I've got these problems that I need to solve. Does your technology do this? I would say think about where you want to be in 4 years or 5 years. Adapt your thinking and your approach to all vendors around, hey, here's our 4-year plan. How do you align with this? And how do we partner and make this transition together? You can make that decision and have that conversation for all pieces of your stack. And even if you're not starting fresh, we're always doing tech stack health checks and seeing different pieces of tech come in and out. If you start applying it now, if we're not doing that, and we're just making decisions based on the now, decisions you make now might affect things you want to do in 3 years, where you architect a certain way, you get embedded in a piece of technology, and it's really hard to get out of. So I would just say, like, have some forethought in, when you're changing things, when you're thinking about things, why are we doing this, and are we going with the right partner? And then just quickly at the end, I'll say, use your partners, and even in the conversation, even if you don't choose that partner, use their knowledge. What are they learning? What are they doing? What are they building? Where are they going? Adapt that into your own business, because even though they might not be a partner for you now, in 3 years, they might be. And if you're kind of aligning to some of their thought processes and their direction already, then, that's a good start. Your partners are also working across a wide number of brands. When I think about our business here in APAC, we've got 6,000 customers that our team are working across in various different kind of levels. But, our key partners, our key brands, we're working really closely with them day in, day out. What are their plans? What are their strategies? What are their goals? So your partners will be able to provide that insight for you as well. So yeah, partner with your platforms, your tech partners, and your
Yeah. That's it's a great reminder, and I think it's what the team at MedCart, AS Color, and HealthPost all do so well, right? Is they lean into the customer success team, and we understand what are their priorities, whether it's adding new categories, whether it's growing the SKU count, whether it's going into those new markets, if there's another acquisition coming, and knowing that, having a plan and getting ready, and really treating those tech partners as a true partner of the business, as opposed to having those kind of walls up as well. So we've talked about getting ready for scale. So now let's talk about the front side. So the smarter and faster road to expansion, and how do we look at expansion right now when there is a lot of change going on in retail? Is there ever a right time? If you wait for the exact perfect right time, will you ever do anything and make a move? Joe, what are your thoughts on getting the timing right to pursue new segments and markets? Are you just on mute, Joe?
Sorry about that. This is a great one. I think it's such a fine line, this one. I think when you're in a specific market already and you start hearing noise from other markets, that's a great indicator of, there being a potential to move into that market and cater for that market. I guess overall, I'd say I don't know, there's probably never the right time. You just have to jump in and do it. But then I guess back to what you were talking about right at the start, Phil, depending on what you're in or what area you're in or industry you're in, maybe, you're looking at the US and you're predominantly making out of China, you might have to navigate some of the current, the current political climate and make some concerted decisions in and around that. But we've kind of grown, speaking for AS Color, we've grown quite organically via slowly branching into other regions. So we went into Australia after starting in New Zealand. We soon started hearing noise from the US market saying, there's a gap for a premium blank apparel offering. And at the time, it was a bit of a crazy move. I wasn't at AS Color at the time, but thinking that you could sell a t-shirt in the land of the t-shirt, we're talking about America here. I'm pretty sure they invented that thing. There's a bit of risk there. You've just got to take the plunge. You obviously have to ensure your e-com site is ready to roll, that you've got your logistics and your stock dialed. You've got your offering dialed. You're going to be able to meet the demand. You have to look at the size of that market, and it's risky business. But I think if you're doing well in other regions and you have a nice blueprint there and you have a good website and you have a nice warehouse model, you have a good supply chain, you get all those things dialed, and you just got to take the plunge, I think.
Joe, can I ask a question in regards to? I know that the New Zealand dollar is pretty close to the Australian dollar, and we've seen the Australian dollar just over the past month go from 50, down to 59 cents. I believe after the election, we're back to 65. But that being said, that is a huge opportunity. It must be in America in regards to, the cost of your service and delivering that from New Zealand in terms of customer service or whatever you do in design to being able to deploy a product in that marketplace competitively.
Yeah, 100%. And I loved your point right at the start about this being an opportunity. Obviously, it's scary stuff and it's always changing, but you're spot on. We about 33% of our supply chain is out of China. Our logistics team has done a good job at diversifying our supply chain, so we're not tied to any one country. But you're right. What we're finding in the US is, due to our stock holdings over there, we actually have an opportunity to potentially hold price for a good amount of time, and that's probably where the opportunity lies. So, yeah, we're quietly excited, and I think.
I mean, we all hate seeing our BigCommerce and search spring bills go up and the dollar goes down.
Yeah.
Right? But it's two-edged, especially if you've got those other markets.
All right, I've got some news on being able to do AUD for you, Phil.
Oh, good. That's great news.
Fantastic. Well, let's talk then around the importance of diversification.
Great to learn more. I'm a big AS Colour fan as well, Joe. So yeah, great to hear more of the story and how things are going. And your comments really resonate around, is there ever a good time and taking the plunge? And that was very much our experience. We hadn't done any notable acquisitions prior to acquiring Flora and Fauna and Nourish Life. And, with a small Kiwi brand, our DC's out in the country, but we've got this amazing team, right? And growth is slowing a bit, and you've got this sort of talent factory, but we can't hold on to these people without creating a bit more opportunity and upside. And there's these two amazing brands in Australia who we'd followed as like, oh, these guys are doing a really great job, in the Aussie market. And then watching them kind of, potentially, be lost forever was like, wow, if we didn't control the timing on that at all, you go from a media release around their previous corporate owner's collapse into, we were in an indicative offer within 10 days, and then we had 5 days of due diligence to complete the transaction. So you don't have time to think, you barely have time to pull a business case together. So, but I'm so glad that we did. It's not been at all easy, but I think there's a lot of, there has to be a lot of gut feel, and you really just have to back yourself to create the additional opportunity. And I see sort of opportunity as it's like a product of, surface area and capability and agility. So that's what I'm so excited about is, we did have an amazing team. You think you got an amazing team. It's like, sure thing. They came through, incredible team, incredible partners as well, which is a big part of what gave us the confidence to do it. Good with technology, as you say, Joe, your systems have to be good. And sure enough, that's kind of really starting to prove out. So it's just so exciting to now have this bigger surface area and be operating Trans-Tasman. So obviously, you don't want to take too many shortcuts on your due diligence, but I think just it's a very, very dynamic world out there at the moment. So increasing in a measured and calculated way, increasing your exposure to opportunity through diversification is a really sound principle.
Yeah, I love that. And congrats on bringing it all together, right?
Thank you.
There's a lot on with them, but when you start to get those economies of scale and things moving in the right direction, they're rewarding for the team, for customers, and for us as tech partners being along for that ride as well. Phil, before we move on to the next section, I just want to get your views on working towards B2C and B2B audiences, some of the kind of differences, some of the opportunities when we're talking about expansion.
Yeah. We looked at actually separating the two at the beginning, having two different websites, a B2B play and a B2C play. But it actually makes sense that they're all on the one website. It's sort of that Costco feel that, a consumer can stumble across, say, 1,200 COVID tests at $1,200, but know that they're in the right place with, they can buy any quantity of a thing. But we obviously use your tool and also the capabilities of Big, but to talk to both customers in different ways via segmentation, using data for previous purchases to build out lists and to reach out. For example, we had an IV bag shortage not long ago. We can react very quickly within hours of we finding out that there is a shortage. Pull out all the customers who've bought that, pull out any likely customers from a bunch of different segments that would likely buy that product, and quickly deploy an email communication to them or SMS, and then seeing instant results. Just being, proactive and listening to the customer and the market and finding out what's going on. But we've got a lot of work to do because, it is a big job getting that B2B piece and search experience different to the B2C one, but that's something we're working on and we've got the tools to do it.
Yeah, and I've seen your year-on-year growth, so you're doing it well. Now, let us move on to not growing without outgrowing your tech stack. We've already covered quite a bit of this, but I think there's some good fundamental kind of messages in here in terms of like making sure that that tech stack is right for growth, for expansion, for going into new markets without outgrowing and needing to switch tech when you're going through that growth piece. Shannon, we'll just go to you to wrap this up, and then we'll move into Q&A.
Okay, cool. I'll go real quick. I mean, like you said, we've mentioned some of it. One of the biggest things, as I said, is just making informed decisions from the start. So setting that plan, like aligning on your goals for what are you trying to achieve. That's a great way that you can not outgrow it if you're thinking about it from the start. The second thing is, sometimes when you think you've outgrown a solution, you actually haven't or potentially haven't. Quality tech providers, and this has been mentioned as well, we're building new stuff all the time, right? We're not just sitting on our hands, we're releasing new stuff. So, are you across everything that they're building? Are you using everything you're currently paying for? Is the integration that you're utilizing, is it optimized and current? Sometimes we update the product, but sometimes we're also updating the integration and the technology within the integration that will unlock new things. One of the biggest things we see, do you have new team members that don't fully know how to use the tool? And, there's some tech loss in the business as well. If you're doing a handover, if you've had new people start, as more people come and go, more knowledge is lost. So making sure that the platform, that your team knows the platform. And finally, like I said, is there updates you haven't been using? Making sure you're doing a tech stack health check, frequently. I would say once a quarter, once every 6 months at least, on all of the pieces of tech. Are they still talking to each other? They're going to give you the muscles that you need to go win in a market.
Yeah, very well put. Thank you. All right, so now we're going to move into Q&A. As we mentioned, drop your questions into the Q&A using the control panel. If we don't get time to answer your questions, we will loop back after this webinar as well. We've got one first up for Phil, rapid round of questions. So what are the best use cases you've seen for AI in e-commerce over and above the customer service application?
The sorting of data and the creating of process would be absolute biggest change. And look, in every aspect, it's incredible, from customer service again, but replying to complex questions. It's just beautiful in every respect. I mean, we jumped on it within 5 days of release, and we haven't stopped.
Yeah, and the speed which you're able to actually do things that could have taken a day or longer before. And I don't know about you, but I don't love living in spreadsheets, but I do love it when they can be turned around pretty quickly.
Yeah, I love a summary of a spreadsheet. Thank you.
Exactly. Great. We've got one for Abel. Aside from technical and AI capabilities, what else do you look for when evaluating tech vendors? And is locality important at all?
Yeah, great question. I try and understand the sort of the values and ethos, and to a degree the team and culture, which you can often pick up to an extent from the people that you're dealing with. It's nice to be able to interface with a few different people. We had an experience recently onboarding a reasonably large tech partner, and at multiple points through that process, the CE contacted me personally, and made it really clear that come whatever, he was available to take my calls at any time. And I remember having that same experience with BigCommerce some years ago as well, and something like that is hugely reassuring. So there is still that personal element, and then obviously I'll have a quick look at Glassdoor and see what the employee experience is like as well. To be honest, and I think sticking with that human element. Also, I love to check references. Like, some people think it's a bit funny or a bit old school, but I want to talk to like 2 or 3 real clients and get their firsthand experience as well, because things will obviously come out in a conversation that you can't surface through online research, especially if you're kind of asking open-ended questions. So those things are really important. And then I think, as I touched on earlier, that interoperability piece. And I think at this point, given the opportunities, as I spoke to around the ability to analyze and make sense of now enormous data sets quite quickly and effectively, that ability, like, you need to know that your data is not locked up or too badly siloed. You want to be able to get your hands on that, to be able to pipe it out to other systems. And ultimately, I think some due diligence around, if for any reason it didn't work out, how easily can I port that data across? Do I own the data, etc.? So there's some things that I'd look out for as well.
Yeah, really good point. So, and we always recommend that. There can often be big sweeping claims, right, from providers, and we always recommend talk to some customers who've gone live, they've gone through the onboarding, that work with a partner to make sure that it's a partner that can be there for the long term, and you have that ongoing relationship. Tax only as good as how much you can lean in and get out of it as well. Joe, we've then got a question for you. What is the biggest hurdles you face expanding into other countries? Anything that didn't work so well?
I think navigating competition is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
I think understanding the market and knowing who you're going up against in that market. Speaking about AS Colour specifically, we're in the apparel game. Obviously, there's millions of apparel brands out there. There's a lot of wholesale blank apparel brands out there, and some that are far greater than us. So I think just kind of believing in yourself, sticking to your brand, believing in your offering, and then doing a good job of kind of talking to that through your website, through your marketing channels, etc., etc. We see ourselves as more of a premium blank apparel provider, and therefore we want our website to look and feel like that. We want our marketing to look like that. And I think probably getting your tech stack dialed to deal with that expansion is really important as well. I think even before we were kind of at an enterprise level, we were still partnering with partners who were operating with enterprise customers, and whether we did that deliberately right at the start or we just fell into it, it's paid off. It's paying off now because we can rely on those partners and rely on the tech they can offer us to scale as we continue to grow. So yeah, those are a few things that come to mind.
That's great. Yeah, and keep up the great work with that. I have my new Athos Commerce t-shirts on their way to me right now. All right, let's start to wrap up. Let's go to one big takeaway from each of you. So Phil, why don't you kick us off?
The big takeaway would be to be in rooms with people that are smarter than you. And I'd like to thank Joe and Abel and yourselves, because I've actually accomplished that today. So it's been amazing to listen to that. But obviously the big takeaway is do your due diligence on your stack. You've got to line up your requirements with what you can afford with a mind to the future. And I'll keep it at that.
Love that. Joe?
For me, it would be listening to your customer and listening to their feedback and using that in a smart way, along with the data that you get from your partners and your tech stack. I think that's super important. That would probably be it. I love your point, actually, Phil. That's a good one. I've been sitting here feeling exactly the same way, mate. So
that's the thing about going to conferences and attending these sort of things. It's really important to to be out there and feel that I certainly learned a lot from you today, Joe and Abel. Your communication's been fantastic. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. I'm sure we could sit here all day and chat all day as well, and continue to learn and take notes. Abel, from your side, one big takeaway.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting time. So I've been in ecom over 20 years, and I'd have to say, like, it's reinvigorated me, even though it is challenging, is just really like embrace the upheaval and the uncertainty, and there's heaps of opportunity within it. I think, recognize your personal limits, because it can be totally overwhelming, and also recognize, as a leader, recognize your team's limits, and don't try and change everything all at once. But I think don't shy away from it. Like, the future is happening right in front of us at a pace we've never seen before. So you just need to orientate yourself and your organization, well with respect to that. That would be my key advice. But yeah, echoing Phil's comments, it's a real pleasure and a privilege to join the panel with Phil, Shannon, Joe, and feel the same way. I've learned a lot today, so thank you.
It's great to have everyone here. So Shannon, lastly, one wrap up.
Phil said, tech stack health, very important. So build a roadmap for your tech stack, regularly be checking its health. The other thing I'll say is engage with your technology partners and agency partners, tap into their knowledge, use it and abuse it, and then have them engage with each other. If your platform's not talking to your marketing cloud, and if your platform's not talking to your ERP, like, there's disconnect in the business, because as solution providers, we should be having conversations about your business as well, not kind of kept in silo.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, is going back to where Phil started this conversation at the start, now is not the time to batten down the hatches, put the head in the sand. It's really about how do we refocus, how do we adapt and look for those growth opportunities that are going to kind of continue to stand that test of time. Moving with the changes. Change is always going to be here when we are in retail. The panel have done a great job of this already in saying thank you so much. Really great insights shared today. Thank you to everyone for joining us. Shannon and I would love to continue the conversation, both from an Athos Commerce and BigCommerce perspective, and really encourage everyone to jump online, look at HealthPost, AS Colour and MedCart. They are all over-indexing in terms of that on-site experience by putting the customer at the front of everything they do. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you again, panel.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.